Hey,
Wait, okay,
we're
so
live.
cool. Hello, everybody. That was definitely a very smooth introduction into Death Battle Cast with no intro. Definitely not 10 minutes late due to trying to get our friends Gandalf and Obi-Wan to show up here, but they're here, so everything's all right. A wizard is never early, or nor is he late. So this is all planned. All planned. All right, hey, I'm Ben. We got Chad here, and if you're
Yep.
watching this on video, you may notice that we are joined by two very handsome old men. No, we actually have two of our researchers jumping in through audio. We got Kian and we got Speedy. What's up, guys?
Please tell me you
Heyo.
guys can hear me. Please
Yes,
tell me you guys can hear me.
we can hear
Okay,
you.
cool.
We can. Everything
Hello.
is going according to plan. Stick to the script. It's according to plan. No, as you can see, we are going to be talking about Obi-Wan versus Gandalf, which I believe Speedy. Do you want to talk a little bit about why we're doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to talk
Hi,
about why we're
yeah.
doing this, Speedy?
Hi, I'm Speedy. I'm a researcher. Also, actually, no,
Speedy.
sorry, I'm Gandalf. What's up? It's me. uh, no, so this was actually my pitch for the Kickstarter. I was a Super Tengen Toppa backer, so I pledged like the highest tier and got to do a pitch, and it was fun. So now I'm here to talk about the matchup because I like it and think it would be fun.
Yeah, Speedy was one of our favorite pitches because it was just cracking us up the whole time because it basically started out with reason one why we should do this matchup. I work for you and I gave you money. Can I just have it? And I just lost it. I was dying. Um,
Yeah, despite
Yeah.
Speedy being a longtime researcher, when we were talking about with the group about starting the Kickstarter and what the rewards were going to be, he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna go for the top tier regardless." Thank you, Speedy, for
You're
helping
welcome.
us. Yeah. So excited to talk about this because this is such a fun idea for a matchup, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like not gonna get ridiculous at all.
but there's
I'm
also
sure it's not.
some it's like some Star Wars rivalry, right? Didn't you guys make an agreement or
Yeah.
something?
So there's a little extra backstory to this as well, between me and Kian. So he has done the last
The groan.
several he has researched the last several Star Wars characters that we have used. So we came to a gentleman's agreement that the next time we use a Star Wars character, that I would take the research for them. And he thinks that maybe that will end up with me doing like Palpatine or someone who would be like really hard to research because Palpatine, he knows like every Force power ever. So if you wanted to research him, you'd have to research like all of the expanded universe, like every
Everything.
Star Wars media ever. I kind of don't want to do that personally. That sounds really not fun. So I am trying to manipulate the system here, and get a different Star Wars character in here.
To get a
That is
character
why.
we've already done, so you can just use Kian's research.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big part of the reason for why I chose this. I also just like the matchup. I think it would be fun. I'd
It
really
is
like
a
to
good
use Gandalf.
matchup, but
But yeah.
underhanded, sir.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Are you
can.
really gonna make me research Palpatine after I paid you $5,000? Are you really gonna do
I
that?
was told I didn't get to see it, but I was told that he said that, and then in his slideshow is just a picture of me that he titled "cringe."
Yes. Oh yeah. There was a whole slide dedicated to bashing you for sure.
Well, I'm happy to announce that our next Star Wars Death Battle is going to be starring Wicket, the lovable Ewok. So
Yeah.
you won't
Oh,
have too much to
no.
worry about.
I gotta watch the Ewoks cartoon. How
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, okay, you gotta watch all that. All right, so hey everybody, thank you for joining us for Death Battle Cast. We will be doing a debate between Obi-Wan and Gandalf. And if it isn't obvious, Kian is gonna be taking on Obi-Wan because clearly Kian is our Star Wars expert, right? And
One of
then
them.
Speedy is going to be taking on or representing Gandalf. And it's up to them to debate who would win in a death battle. And at the end of the show, you all watching this live right now will get to vote on who should win. See a lot of different color badges in the chat, as well as including a lot of the black 2-year ones. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you have anything you want to jump in and add and basically participate in the conversation, feel free to jump in. We're keeping an eye on that. All right, so let's get this started. We'll go ahead and start with, I guess we'll start with Obi-Wan, because as you mentioned, Kian is such a big expert on Obi-Wan and has researched him to death for our own death battles. So Kian, let's talk a little bit about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, let him go first. Get the
Right.
weak stuff out the way first.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't check the chat, so just tell me when the timer started.
Just go ahead and give us a
Yeah,
brief
don't worry
intro
about
on Obi-Wan.
Okay, so Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's like this really cool Jedi Master guy. He's kind of like a sci-fi wizard, space knight, all sorts of cool things rolled into one. He's got this like really cool laser sword. It's called like a lightsaber. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but it's like really cool and stuff. It's a laser, so it's like really hot and stuff, so it can like cut through anything, you know. He's like really good at using it. He's the master of Soresu.
Okay,
Which is like really, really good at defense. He has these cool force power thingies. It lets him be all like pew, 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 and lift rocks with his mind and stuff. It's really cool. He can fly spaceships really well. It's really cool. He'll be in space battles and his opponents will be like pew, 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 and he doesn't get hit at all. He's like really fast and stuff, and he's like super strong, and he wins, I think.
In the middle of that, you drop some proper noun that I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Soresu, right? The fighting
Yeah.
style.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know how to like prepare for this because it's like we did an episode on him 4 years ago. Like, what am I gonna bring up that people don't know?
Well,
Well, maybe some people
specifically,
that
we
haven't
need.
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So not everybody's
True.
gonna have seen the Obi-Wan episode that we've done, and also, how does he beat Gandalf? Give us a quick rundown on how does he beat Gandalf? Like, what are you opening with essentially?
Okay, well, I have no idea what Gandalf can do, so I'm just gonna talk about how amazing Obi-Wan
Interesting.
is.
Why do you have no idea what Gandalf can do? Can you tell us about that?
That just opened up a trap. All right, here you go.
Because I've only seen the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies because I was binging them with my brother, and then he went on vacation, and then
How
I
do you
went on
only see the
vacation.
first 2 and not
We
go
just
to the
haven't
last
gotten
one?
back to it. We just haven't gotten back to it. Okay.
You
We all
not
have things
finish
like
it.
that. We all have things like that.
Look.
We all have things like that.
Look, I don't like ragging on people who haven't seen the movies, right? Because it's like if you haven't seen the movies, whatever. Everybody's got their own interests. But if you've seen 2 of them but you didn't finish the trilogy, I'm gonna rag on that. Like, come
I
on.
just had. It's not that I like gave up. I didn't give up. We just haven't gotten to it yet. I could go downstairs and watch it myself now.
You
but I
have
don't
it,
see them with.
but you haven't watched it.
It's also
We-
streaming like all the time.
I know.
Wow. Okay. Well, with that being said, I guess I shouldn't. I guess I should go back, give you a chance. What is Obi gonna do against Gandalf to win?
He is going to use the Force to crush his organs and make him like cough up blood and stuff. And
Okay.
be really
All right.
violent. That
Force
sounds like
organ
what
crush.
Obi-Wan would do.
Hmm.
All right. So, strong start. All right, Speedy. Let's get an intro to Gandalf and what is your opening argument for Gandalf?
All right. So I am quite familiar with both Gandalf and Obi-Wan, and that difference in
Set
knowledge
up.
reflects the difference in experience between Gandalf and Obi-Wan. Gandalf is over 50,000 years old. Obi-Wan died at the age of 57. So experience advantage off the bat, easy. So Gandalf the White, originally known as Aloran, is, I should say, an angelic Maya, which means that he was one of the beings that was responsible for singing the universe into existence at the beginning of time. He is a servant to Eru. He is incredibly powerful. So a pattern that you're going to notice with both of these characters is that they are much, much more powerful than you would assume if you only watched their movies. Both of them have incredibly deep, rich lore and expanded media that drastically recontextualizes what they're capable of. That said, another pattern you're going to notice is that regardless of what angle you look at the matchup from, whether it be what they've done personally, like their direct feats, like what they've clearly demonstrated, or what level the lore indicates them to be on. What we're looking at here is essentially Obi-Wan versus a better Obi-Wan. Gandalf has better direct showings of power, comparable showings of speed. He has every ability that Obi-Wan does and then some. And most importantly, every area that Obi-Wan excels in is an area where Gandalf has him beat. So Kian brought up that Obi-Wan is a master of Soresu. He's actually acknowledged by Mace Windu as the quintessential master of Soresu, the most defensive lightsaber and force combat style. But although he is an exceptional defensive fighter, Gandalf's defenses and resistances and like sheer unkillable nature is even stronger than that defense. Obi-Wan is famous for being level-headed and able to approach situations in a careful and pragmatic manner to ensure the best outcome. But Gandalf is much older, much wiser, and much more experienced, which is reflected in his level of success in his story relative to Obi-Wan and his. If you strike either of them down, they will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine, but only one of them actually comes back to life on top of that. One of the other stays dead. And while Jedi Masters are unbelievably powerful, we've talked about Obi-Wan before, we know what he's capable of, don't take Gandalf for some conjurer of cheap tricks. He wields greater godlike strength than Kenobi can possibly be prepared for, and that will see him through this battle.
Okay.
All right.
So at Obi-Wan's defense, the most I've ever seen Gandalf do is wave a sword around and shoot some light at some creatures of darkness. So like, how's he actually gonna like kill Obi-Wan?
So he has so for one, his sword is like extremely powerful. It was forged by the elves. It's magic. It's nearly indestructible. It was able to fell the Balrog, which like were the like among the strongest of Morgoth servants in the past. He has incredibly powerful fire and light magic. In terms of like direct feats of like offensive power in the book, when he battles the Durin's Bane, the Balrog, he's described like casting it down into the mountain below and just shattering the entire mountain. This is actually depicted as well in one of the animated adaptations of Fellowship of the Ring. So he possesses like that on its own, like destroying like an entire mountain is just more impressive than anything Obi-Wan has done directly. Of course, Obi-Wan scales to incredibly powerful Force users that have more impressive showings than that, but that gets back to what I was saying about like if you compare what they've done directly, Gandalf wins. If you compare the beings that they compare to and what the lore indicates them to be capable of, Gandalf also wins. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Couple of things. First of all, I really wish I could have seen Kian's face when you began to describe Gandalf and immediately was talking about singing the universe into existence.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Okay. Yeah.
'cause
I
the
will say,
Maya
to
stuff
be
gets
fair,
wild.
I'm going to make an incredibly humble concession here. To be fair, the song didn't actually create anything. Eru was the one who made the song into reality. So I will concede that isn't a universal feat of power for Gandalf, and it was also like all of the Ainur together.
Gandalf is also a mortal recreation of a Maiar. He's not
contain
the angelic being itself. It's like
Yeah.
a vessel.
They
essentially,
contain
right?
and bind their power upon entering Ea. Like this is like pretty clearly established in the Silmarillion. But he is able to like to an extent like increase his power to be closer to what he was originally capable of. Like he's limited a lot of the time, but he can kind of shed those limitations in order to fight at like a higher level if he needs to. But yeah, I don't think that the Song of Creation, Ainu Lindale, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't think that that's like a universal power feat for him.
Gotcha. Couple of comments from the chat. Spider Patriot says, "I have the high ground versus you shall not pass," which yes, of course. And then El Cato says, "Okay, but who wins in a rap battle?" So that's a different show. I'm sure. Has Epic Rap Battles ever done that? Probably.
They did a
I think
different Gandalf one. It was not very good. I mean,
Okay.
I
Whoa!
mean,
Whoa! All right.
Whoa.
Slinging
Whoa.
shade.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
Shade right away. Oh no.
I big fan ERB. Sorry, I didn't. That came out wrong.
And then I've seen a handful of people talking about, are we going to bring into the Lego feats because they both have.
What's
Lego
going
games.
on with Lego? I've seen multiple people be like,
they both have
why are
Lego
you
games.
using Lego?
There's tons of Lego Star Wars games. There's Lego Lord of the Rings games.
There
Sure.
is. I mean,
but, like-
I wasn't aware that there was anything. I mean, Speedy, have you dug into Lego Star Wars and Lego Lord of the Rings much? Like I wasn't aware of there being
I'm not
anything like
helping you.
crazy in there.
I'm not helping.
You were literally making arguments.
Well,
for
okay,
Obi-Wan earlier.
chat. I'm curious what specifically you're talking about regarding Lego, because obviously we're not pitting Lego Obi-Wan versus Lego Gandalf against each other. But if there's something going on with the Lego, like they're not going to be Lego people falling apart and coming back together. But if there's something that happens in the Lego games that is apparently like important to this, let us know, because I don't know what you're talking about.
I am familiar with the Lego games, but that okay. At the risk of like hurting myself in the argument, the Lego games actually do have like really powerful feats, but they're like directly contradictory with like canon Star Wars. Even like the EU,
Okay.
they'd be contradictory.
So we're talking about Lego characters being in a cartoon world where nobody dies. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Kian.
Yes.
Obi-Wan is fighting an angel given mortal form.
Yeah.
What the hell is he gonna do?
Okay, well, I wanted to ask, you had mentioned about some sword that's nearly indestructible.
Yes.
How would would it be able to withstand a lightsaber? Does it have like
Yes,
strong heat
actually.
resistance?
So
Okay.
so there are two major things here. One, so Gandalf, as mentioned, is a Maya, which means he is one of the lower ranking Ainu. However, he is one of the strongest of these Maya. There's actually like a passage in, I don't think it was the Silmarillion, I think it was like one of Tolkien's additional writings, where they kind of discuss the process, because Gandalf was originally like kind of hand selected as one of the individuals who was like meant to lead the charge against Sauron, like the Istari, the wizards. And then they talk about like, okay, we got to pick out from the Maya like the mightiest beings. They need to be like peers of Sauron, like comparable to him in power. So we need to like pick the best of the best out of the Maya. And Gandalf was one of those that was selected. So he is like up near the tippy top of them. He's still probably weaker than Sauron, even as like Gandalf the White, but he's close. And that would make him comparable broadly to other Maya as well, including Tilion, the Maya of the Moon, who in the Silmarillion was described like he was, I believe it was that he was in love with Aryan, the Maya of the Sun, and as he got kind of closer to her, he was able to like touch her flames, and they burned him. They didn't like kill him. It just like hurt, and he was able to withstand those flames without dying, and then just like returned to like the moon's position. So Tilion was able to survive the heat of the sun. Gandalf should scale to him. Additionally, his sword, Glamdring, it's like I said, it's Elven Forge, it's magic. It's able to channel lightning and store the lightning within itself, like natural lightning. Lightning being able to reach up to 30,000 degrees Celsius. Lightsabers can be broadly compared to like plasma cutters. However, at most, plasma cutters can reach temperatures up to 22,000 degrees Celsius, so lesser than what Gandalf or his sword can survive. Lightsabers also cannot cut through absolutely everything. They have been parried in universe by things like Mandalorian steel, Vibra swords, Cortosis ore. It's very reasonable that like a magical sword that's capable of withstanding greater temperatures would be able to hold up against it just fine.
Interesting.
Real quick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Moon Angel and Sun Angel. That's the Maya forms, right?
Yeah.
Right?
They're Maya, yeah, not Vala.
So technically, even if Gandalf could scale to that, because Gandalf's name isn't Gandalf when he's a Maya. Something else, right?
Oh,
So, like,
no. Okay, I understand your question. No,
like-
they were within Aya. They were not their like
Okay.
original forms. Yeah, they were
Okay.
like their physical incarnation.
As the Sun and Moon.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, saying that it kind of scales to a planetoid, I don't know. It's a little bit of a different physical form. But either way, I don't know. Like, I guess Glamdring could probably hold up to it, but like, feels like it would eventually break through, right?
Yeah, I mean, not bad for having a sword you found in a cave.
Yeah, just a random ass sword.
Yeah, like I said, even like just being able to like withstand like the heat of lightning and like store it in the blade for like he does this in the fight with the Balrog. Like he calls down lightning, it strikes the sword, and it stores it in the blade. It doesn't like conduct through. So having something that is like over 8,000 degrees hotter than plasma cutters stored in the blade would, I think, give it enough resilience to hold up pretty well.
But
That's an
it's
interesting
magic
one.
lightning.
Okay.
It's not. he
Hang
calls
on
it
a
up in
second.
clouds.
Hang on a second, though, Speedy. I am getting live updates.
You are?
Throughout the generations, lightsaber technology was refined from those first high maintenance captive bolt lightsabers to the lightweight modern lightsabers, which utilizes a stabilized massless plasma beam that burns as hot and bright as the core of a star. From the Star Wars Force and Destiny Core rulebook.
The RPG rulebook.
Yes, yes, an RPG rulebook. Come on,
And
we've
you
used
don't-
weird things for
okay,
Star Wars
okay.
before. We used the freaking Ewoks cartoon. How is this
Okay.
much
But
worse?
that is very specifically the current modern new lightweight lightsaber. What lightsaber does Obi-Wan use?
I mean, would
It
it
would be
be
kind of
that
a
far off
jump.
of?
It would be kind of a jump if within 30 years they went from less hot than lightning to as hot as a fucking star.
Star. Hey.
That would be a huge jump.
Sometimes you
Also-
scientists figure something out and then it jumps.
I mean, I know lightsabers have the like energy
Where
sheath
did
or whatever
you-
around them, but would that be enough to protect them when they light a lightsaber in front of their face and
Yeah,
the
right?
heat of
Like,
the
ah!
star is right there?
Well, the thing is that I don't think they don't actually like.
Oh, I guess they don't
exude
emit
heat until
heat.
they.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is
Um.
doesn't.
Also, I'm looking
I
it
don't think
up.
that's always true. I
Yeah.
don't think that's always true. I'm pretty sure there
Yeah.
are examples of them like cauterizing wounds by just holding it above it or something like that, or lighting
Yeah.
fires.
Also,
whatever.
from
Yeah.
what I'm seeing, this role playing game is from like original trilogy era, so it should be like it should apply to Obi-Wan's. It's not like sequels or
Mm.
whatever it
Okay.
was in the original EU.
Okay.
Also,
Interesting. All right.
quick shout out to Gilded Data for gifting 20 Death Battle
say-
memberships. If you got a membership, you probably see it in chat. Give them a shout out. Thank you, Gilded Data.
And we had
All
some super chats. Love King, the super chat said Gandalf versus Dumbledore would be even more interesting. Not gonna lie, love y'all though.
Would it?
Alf Null says Lego Gandalf has sonic scaling. And then actually, Ben, why don't you go ahead and read this most recent
Wait,
one?
what? Lego Gandalf has sonic
Sonic
scaling?
scaling? Yeah.
Oh, from what was it?
Lego Dimensions.
Dimensions,
Oh.
yeah.
Does that how does that okay?
And then Ben, I want you to read the comment from this person, the most recent one. Yeah, go ahead. I believe in you.
Your name is Vamulator.
You did it.
Hey!
I'm
Yeah.
so
Wait,
proud
did
of
I?
you. Yes, you did it.
Vamulator.
Vamulator, you did
I
it.
feel like I'm wrong. I feel like I'm saying it wrong.
No,
I
you
feel like
totally got it.
you set me up. You're making fun of me.
No, I'm not.
Va-
You actually
okay.
did it right.
Vamilitor says you did not give the Sun and Moon feats to Sauron in his episode. Yeah, he didn't fucking need them. So
Yeah,
and
I
also
researched Sauron for
I'm
that
a
episode.
little iffy on the moon and sun thing because it's another like it's a completely different physical form we're talking about here. So I don't know how that all works per se. But
Yeah, it's
either way.
yeah. We could talk more about that. Do you want to get into like power? Because I think that kind of
Sure,
segues
yeah.
into-
Sure, yeah.
Well, let's get into that right after I talk about the power of our sponsor, ExpressVPN. How about that? This
Yeah, let's do
episode
it. Whoa.
is sponsored by Chad.
I'm here
you're
with
me,
never
I
mind.
guess.
I'm gone.
All right, this episode is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Hey, guess what? It doesn't matter how powerful you are. You may be as powerful as Gandalf. You may be as powerful as Obi-Wan. But every time one of these guys connects to an unencrypted network, like in cafes, hotels, airports, and more, your online data is not secure. Obi-Wan, get ExpressVPN. It will protect your data, Obi. Come on, man. Gandalf's already got it. He's way ahead of the curve. Any hacker on the same network as you can gain access to your personal data and steal it for themselves. That's passwords, bank logins, credit card details, anything you hold dear. Your data is valuable. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person selling personal info on the dark web. That's terrifying. ExpressVPN stops hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. ExpressVPN is super secure. In their own words, it would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1,000,000,000 years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. And I did the math. That means even if the team of hackers who was after you had a team of 1,000 experts and they tried to get your data, it would take them, even with 1,000 people, it would take them over 1,000,000 years to do it. Uh, it's also
So we got calcs for this read.
we got Galaxy
All
with the sponsor, yeah. And it's also incredibly easy to use. Just fire up the app and click one button. That's all it takes. And it works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more. So you can stay secure on the go. And it's rated the number one. It's rated the number one top tech app by. Just completely skipped a sentence. It's rated number one by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. So secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/dbc. That's expressvpn.com/dbc to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months for free. expressvpn.com/dbc. Thank you, ExpressVPN, longtime sponsor of the show and supporting us even while we're independent, which is awesome.
Yes,
So,
we very much
appreciate
love, use, and appreciate ExpressVPN. Cody
We
Briner
legitimately
says,
do use
Yeah.
ExpressVPN. It's great.
Cody
Uh,
Briner says ExpressVPN, you shall not pass to the hackers. Yeah, which I was like, we
Oh, I
should
should've
have. That would have been the
thought
perfect segue. And then
Well,
Ventilator,
actually, yeah.
in celebration of you getting
Ventilator?
his in celebration of you getting his name right, gifted out 10 memberships. And then Kinjarak gifted 5. Gilded Data wants to know, do you think Obi-Wan watches Death Battle in public spaces since he uses ExpressVPN? And Gelatin Man, what's up, Gelatin Man? Gifted out 5 memberships. So thank you all.
Amazing. All right, shout out to them. Okay. We're talking about power. Let's talk about power. Speedy.
Yeah.
You got something
So
you
you
want to talk
wanna-
about?
You want to start with? I guess
Speedy.
like start with the sun and the moon. Sure.
Sure. The sun and the moon are angels, and they're in love.
Yeah.
And they tried to touch each other once, and it got weird.
Real bad.
Yeah. So after the 2 trees, which were previously like what had provided light to the world, were like felled by Melkor and the spider Ungoliant. They needed to create. They needed to like obviously create the sun and the moon in order to like provide light to the world. Blah blah blah. They picked out Arian and Tilion, 2 Maiar, to like create these vessels and also to steer them around the world. And it was they were selected. Like Arian was specifically called out as being like fairly powerful, like capable of doing something like that. And then she like kind of became the sun, and that was like from then on was able to kind of like maintain the sun for like thousands of years beyond that point, all the way up until like the modern day and beyond it. To kind of go back to what I was talking about before with Gandalf being one of the stronger Maiar, it was a case where he was so originally kind of the main person who was in charge of the Astari battling Sauron was Saruman. Gandalf was kind of one of the lesser ones, but he was still like picked out for the job. Like he was among the like the cream of the crop, you could say. And then of course Saruman turned traitor. Gandalf was slain in his battle with Durin's Bane, and then was brought back to life as Gandalf the White, much more powerful than before, to the point where he was able to easily defeat Saruman and kind of take up his position as the White Wizard against Sauron. So like at that point, now that he has surpassed Saruman in power, he's just like out of all the Maiar, like everyone who they could pick from, like he is the most powerful. Like they specifically call out power as being a consideration in the decision. He is the best suited for that job.
To be fair, wasn't he sent after all the best decisions were already sent?
What do you mean?
Saruman was sent first.
Well, yeah. So Saruman.
And then the Blue
first.
Wizards and Radagast or whatever his name is.
Yeah. So
Brown
Gandalf
Wizard
wasn't initially he wasn't initially given as much power as Saruman, because Saruman was the White Wizard. He was like the leader of the order. But once Saruman had turned traitor, Eru then empowered Gandalf to like an even higher level to the point where he was then beyond Saruman. So he was now more powerful than the previous best choice.
That's what happens in
Right.
the second movie, Kian. You've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Mr. Picture 64 says, "Wait, so the sun and moon are cars now?" I know when there's a lot of proper nouns in Lord of the Rings lore that like
Yeah.
it gets wild.
They're
I'm
living
pretty
cars
sure-
and they love each other very much.
I'm pretty sure they're
Bumper to
described as,
bumper.
like, I'm pretty sure they're like metaphorically described as like chariots, kind of like very similar to like
Oh, yeah.
like Apollo and whatnot.
Yeah,
But there
classic
are of course
mythology.
like real celestial bodies. Like they make reference to celestial bodies all the time in Lord of the Rings. Like they even talk about galaxies in the Silmarillion indirectly. Um,
Uh, I'm sorry, I have to call
Well-
this out because it's so like, what are the? There's a user named the Good Old Sun, like the sun. It's it says Ben Singer, please have this moon. Like what? Were you summoned here by the moon and sun talk? Like what are the odds of that? That is all right. Just needed to call that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but
so yeah, we kind of shied away from this with Sauron versus Lich King because I think like creatively speaking, at least like this is kind of what I had discussed with Kirby Kid and Lousy at the time when we were working on it. Is we kind of wanted to go for a more like grounded approach with the scaling in the episode and kind of save higher arguments for tabs. But like Sauron is realistically like the most powerful Maya. Gandalf is as Gandalf the White at least is realistically number 2. You can reasonably like you can't compare them to the Valar because the Valar are stated to be overall more powerful than the Maiar. But among the Maiar, those two should be like the peak of what anyone is capable of. Kian, did you want to bring
in
up?
in their greater forms, or not in their at the peak of their power, which was not necessarily at the same time. Okay, we've talked a lot about
Yeah, I was
Gandalf's power, and then brought in a lot of proper nouns that half of us here have no idea what they mean. But that's cool. Kian, let's talk about Obi-Wan, how powerful he is.
Yeah, tell us why that's no moon. Sorry.
But
I mean, I think we've covered a lot of the big stuff in episodes prior. The latest
We'll
thing
just
that
kind
we got
of
for
review those.
Yeah, the latest thing we got for Darth Vader was that I believe it was one of the Night Sisters, used an ancient artifact to combine 2 moons together. That was like a large planet level or something. Also, I think in the Obi-Wan episode, we made the comparison to Kip Duron and how he moved a black hole. I'm not sure where people stand on
Legends.
that these
Don't matter.
days. Yeah, it was Legends. But moving a black hole is probably comparable to sun level stuff.
Oh,
Sun
is
level,
it now?
star level. Is it? Is it? I mean, I guess it depends on the size, doesn't it?
yeah,
It was a novel.
The Dovin Basal, which is what the black hole in question is called. Like I actually went back and checked the calcs for the episode. It weighed 65 sextillion tons, and the energy to move it was in the petatons of TNT. The sun itself that Arian is capable of moving is 2.1 octillion tons, and the energy required to move it would be in excess of 248 yotatons of TNT, which is significantly more powerful than moving the Dovin Basal.
Speedy, I thought the whole point of this was so you wouldn't do any Obi-Wan research.
I know, and yet he has.
Well, no, it's so that I will do Obi-Wan research because I can do it and not Palpatine.
Oh, right. Research
that's
has
right,
already
yeah.
been done. Got it.
But yeah, so the
Yeah.
Dovin Basal was specifically a micro singularity. It was not like a full-sized black hole. So
right.
it was significantly less impressive than moving the entire sun. Additionally, the feat performed by the Sun Star and the Shadow Stone, specifically like its fusion from the Ewoks cartoon, was 12 yotatons of TNT, which is significantly inferior to 248.
Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out, though, Speedy. Hear me out.
Okay.
Star Wars is really big, and Obi-Wan has probably done something more powerful, and we just don't know about it yet.
No, Speedy,
You
you
you want me to-
gotta narrow down, like you gotta hit the sun feat, because I'm still not necessarily buying that we should be including it at all.
okay. I have more support. I have additional support for Gandalf being on that level, right? So his like most famous fight, like even when he wasn't at his peak, is against the Balrog during Spain. The Balrogs, like one of like they had a lot. They did a lot during like Morgoth's time. But one of the most notable things that they did was they assisted Morgoth against Ungoliant, the primordial spider. Ungoliant, I had brought up the two trees previously that were formerly serving as like a substitute for the sun, and it was actually the energy of the two trees that was used to create the sun. So like the energy contained within these trees is massive. It's like beyond star level. Ungoliant drains the vast majority of this power into herself in order to fell the two trees, and then challenges Melkor, like ties him up in her webs. The Balrogs swoop down from Melkor's like stronghold and drive Ungoliant off. Like they defend Morgoth from her, even though she is empowered with most of the energy from the two trees. The Balrogs are able to harm her, drive her away, and a fraction of the energy from the trees, whatever, like the little bit that's left, is used to bear the final fruit that is then transformed into the sun by Aryan. So there is consistency for like more powerful Maiar being able to contend with these like star levels of power as well.
Could you imagine if some of this stuff was included in like the movies and it's just like, real quick, Gandalf, like, how did the sun come about? And he's like, well, let me tell you a story. And it flashes to a giant spider sucking the life force from two glowing trees as a bunch of fucking Balrogs swoop in and start fighting.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, but Speedy,
So
hear me
Ian,
out. But
Yeah.
Speedy, hear me out.
okay.
What if Palpatine threw a galaxy at one point? then?
True.
Uh,
That would be funny.
Oh,
No.
oh,
But that's an inside
Did
joke.
he?
That's an inside joke. Don't worry about
inside
it.
joke. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm waiting on
Yeah.
a DM right
Cool.
now.
That's what we love having on this
So,
show with about
yeah,
other
yeah.
viewers.
Anyway. So Kian, you said that Star Wars is really big, and surely Obi-Wan has done something similar, right? Well,
Yeah.
how about I provide you with a better feat than the ones that you provided, and then I'll tell you
Okay.
that it's
No.
not good enough.
No, no.
No, you don't want a
No.
better feat. Okay, I won't give you that.
hey,
Kian,
No.
do
I
you
wanna
have
hear
the
about
better
it.
feat? Do you
Yeah.
have the better feat?
Yes, I just haven't found it yet.
Cool. Okay. All right. I did want to bring up that it was mentioned early on that when Obi-Wan dies, or when Gandalf dies, he comes back as a stronger being. When Obi-Wan dies, he comes back as a ghost.
It was Force
Yeah.
Ghost.
But when Gandalf dies, he is brought back by another entity. He doesn't come back himself. When Obi-Wan
Okay.
dies, he becomes part of the larger Force, and there is a lot of evidence to suggest that Force ghosts can just do shit like normal people. He sits down on a log. Yoda summons lightning in the Force Unleashed game, I think. He
Force
fights.
Unleashed, yes. He fights as a Force.
Garen Malik in like the alternate timeline. So like the Force ghosts can do
Okay.
shit. They just choose not to because they're part of the like living Force and whatnot.
Okay, I have answers for all these things. I will provide them.
Okay.
I am prepared. Okay,
Okay.
so let's start with what will we start with? So Gandalf's requiring a different person to bring him back. So there is actually some context to this. I'll try not to like drone on for too long. Basically, the way that Maiar and Einar spirits in general work is that they have an inherent supply of energy in their body that they progressively expend throughout like the thousands of years that they spend on Middle Earth. This is the case with Sauron. That's why his power kind of diminishes over time and why his regenerations start taking longer. But this happens over the course of like thousands and thousands and thousands of years. In the fight against Durin's Bane, because Durin's Bane is such a powerful opponent that is like I mentioned, like comparable to Ungoliant, like capable of harming her, like star level opponent. Gandalf actually spends 10 days straight expending all of his power against Durin's Bane. At the end of which he has expended like all of his spirit's inherent energy, collapses and dies. At which point Eru calls him out of reality, recharges him with power, and then sends him back because he has lost all of his power at this point. He needs to be re-empowered again to return. Being killed normally through like physical injury or like a process other than that would not require the same process. And the reason why we know this is because it's established in Tolkien's secondary writings that when any like living entity dies, they go to this place called the Hall of Mandos, which is the afterlife. Their spirit goes there. Einar, in general, both Valar and Maiar, are not bound within the halls of Mandos when they die. They can simply just leave whenever they want and reclothe their bodies with their physical form. Their bodies are described more like clothing than anything that they necessarily need. We brought this up for Sauron. This is why we gave him the ability to fight as a spirit and reconstitute himself after he dies. So a normal death would not require the same circumstances. At best, you could say that that would be the case if Obi-Wan were to forcibly run out all of Gandalf's power, which he would never reasonably be able to do. Which I'll get to in a minute. But that's thing number one. Thing number two: Force spirits being able to keep fighting. Yes, I was gonna bring up, if Kian didn't, the thing from Force Unleashed where Obi-Wan's Force spirit is able to continue fighting, even though he is dead at that point. So Gandalf actually has two separate counters to this. The first one is that Einar in general are capable of specifically like banishing spirits, forcing spirits into the Hall of Mandos, where they will be bound. Like non-Einar are required to stay there. They are bound to remain. So if Obi-Wan tried fighting him as a Force spirit, Gandalf could simply make him go to the afterlife. That's number one. Number two is that Gandalf actually has very powerful power nullification, like the ability to strip away the powers of other beings and cut them off from their power source. He does this against Saruman in the books. Saruman has the power of the White Wizard, but Gandalf is able to just completely strip away all of his
Just
powers.
to Saruman, though, right? Does he do this to anybody else?
He only does it to Saruman, but it's not specified as something unique to Saruman. It's just something he just says your staff is
Why
broken.
wouldn't it be? I always assumed he took Saruman's power because he is replacing Saruman. Like that is his purpose in the world now, so he is able to take. But Saruman's power is his power, so he just takes it for himself because it's his. Like when he's fighting the Witch King, he doesn't just depower the Witch King. You know, like why wouldn't he just do that?
So the Witch King in the movies actually breaks Gandalf's staff and has like a similar effect on him. It's kind of depicted as something that these high-level beings in Lord of the Rings are kind of just capable of doing if they can overpower each other. Gandalf had already replaced Saruman as the White Wizard by that point. He like already had his power boost, and he didn't he didn't need to take Saruman's position. He already had it, and he didn't get a power boost either after that instance. He just said your staff is broken. Saruman's staff is broken. He could no longer use his powers.
I don't mean he took his power in terms of a power boost. I mean he took his power because he has his power. Like he already has it. So like Saruman needed to just go because he was in the way essentially.
Like he had control of it.
Also, I mean the Witch King is his own thing. I'm more so talking about like if he could just do this, then he would have just depowered the Witch King. He would have just depowered.
Well, the Witch King, in the books, he actually just defeated the Witch King, and it was like no problem for him, if I remember correctly. In the movies, the Witch King defeated him. The Witch King was just more powerful than him, and so he wasn't able to do it.
In the books, I believe they're matched, and then the Witch King sort of like they don't necessarily. The Witch King, I don't believe is Sauron's answer to Gandalf like he is in the movies.
I think that I think their fight, if I remember correctly, is like off screen. It's depicted as like a, it's like forces too powerful to comprehend kind of thing. And I don't believe that Gandalf lost that one or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But why doesn't he just depower the Witch King? So it still has the same question, right?
It might be a stretch to say he can cut off.
I don't feel like he can just depower people. I also don't think he could just send Obi-Wan to the afterlife because Obi-Wan already is in an afterlife. He's part of the living force, right?
He can send him to a specific afterlife where
but it's not like it's just a spirit that's hanging out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like he part of the living force? So Obi-Wan is the living force at that point.
Yeah, it's semi like that. Because it's not like specifically like a soul, because I think like as part of the living force, it is like some part of like their physical being becomes it. Like that's why when Obi-Wan gets like slashed, like the body just disappears.
Yeah. My good pal of the chat, Vamilator, Vamilator, is talking about this. Force ghosts cannot be forced in the afterlife. They're already there. Gandalf does not depower Saruman. He removes his authority. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, Saruman is depowered. Like he's stabbed by what's his face afterwards, and he specifically like his spirit is unable to like reform. It like is forced to like leave. Like he's like completely incapable after that point.
Either way, I don't know if that would necessarily apply to somebody else.
Yeah.
Van
yeah,
Later
I
also
will
mentions
say,
the Balrog did not fight Ungoliant.
That's a-
She ran off instead of fighting them. I mean, that still implies that the
yeah,
Balrogs would be more powerful, but it is multiple Balrogs, right? So it's like, is
yeah, but the Balrogs are like all like kind of comparable to each other.
yeah,
So.
but if it's multiple Balrogs, Gandalf only killed one.
Well, yeah,
So
but
like,
the fact is that they were all able to like threaten and hurt her. Like if they were like even if like you have like 1,000 like I don't know like gnats or whatever, if they can't like harm Ungoliant, they're not gonna do anything to her. They have to be kind of like comparable in the first place.
Okay. Also, Sarah Forgus, I guess just to help balance out that Star Wars is weird too. Legends is weird. Look at Leia die, and then Han brings them back, but Leia's back to how she was in Empire Strikes Back, both physically and mentally, till Han explains her life to her, and she goes back to normal. I don't know how.
Impressive.
yeah, it's more
Yeah.
the weirdness of Legends. There's some weird shit that happens in Star Wars Legends. I mean, just in Star Wars in general, let's be honest. It's not like
Mhm.
it's just like random weird stuff.
Yeah, and Esteban says Gandalf was beaten by a weakened Sauron, and after getting his power up, he lost to a ring wraith.
Okay,
are
I'm
you talking
assuming
about
the Ring Wraith is the Witch King from the movies.
Yeah, it's different. in the
When was he
books.
beaten by a weakened Sauron?
That was in I think it was Desolation of Smaug, the second Hobbit movie. In the books,
Ugh.
that encounter is
Oh.
described differently. They just drive the Necromancer out
The
of
Necromancer,
Mordor.
right?
Yeah,
Mhm. So, and then
That
Yeah,
the
was
the
also
Necromancer's
Gandalf
like
the Grey.
barely involved in the books.
Yeah, that was also Gandalf the Grey. It's not relevant to Gandalf the White.
Got it. I have the table says, feel like power goes to Gandalf since Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White are equal to 1/10 the power needed to kill Chuck Norris. Is that an Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny reference? I think it is, and that
Uh,
just transported me back in time to the early days of the
So
internet.
I do have a question for
Where we
you.
all began.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Sorry, did
for
you say you have a question for me? Oh my god,
Yes,
what's
I do have a
up?
question for you, my opponent, who is not speaking much. No.
You guys are saying a lot of proper nouns. I don't know what they are.
So
Just
does
just
Obi-Wan
tell
resist?
how it is. Yeah.
Does Obi-Wan resist transmutation, like being turned into like a block of wood, or something like that?
I think that I had something on that. Give me a second here.
Well, I was looking at, I do say see Gilded Data saying, didn't Starkiller destroy Obi-Wan's Force Ghost in the Unleashed DLC?
Yeah.
Yes, implying that you could kill a ghost.
Yeah.
But also, I think it may
Okay.
be more so that he's like using the Force to banish the Force
yeah.
back into the Force kind
Okay.
of thing. I don't know. That's how I at least kind of took it.
Well, yeah. So
Okay.
if he's using the Force to banish him, then wouldn't that prove that Force Ghosts can be banished, which is what you were arguing against earlier?
By using the Force, theoretically. I don't know.
Yeah. There's also Force abilities that can sever Force users from the Force itself.
Yes. So it might be the same idea
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
All right,
Alright,
Speedy,
Cam, what's
here
up?
we go. Here we go. Taken from Cyber again. Shout out to Cyber.
out to Cyber.
Transmutation resistance. Vader stood within close proximity to her dark side amulet, which was causing all within its range to begin mutating and transforming into Rakghouls, I think it's pronounced, and was not affected by it to any degree due to protection from the Force. And Obi-Wan should be able to do the same. They have a similar level of Force power.
You said it was
Um,
mutating. Is that
Rakghouls
Mutating.
from KOTOR, and they're like, it's a zombie plague essentially.
Oh, that doesn't sound like the same thing as being turned into like a block of wood. Because like Gandalf stated to be able to do that, like turn people into blocks of wood.
I mean, it's changing their form, is it not? I mean,
I guess so,
it
yeah.
yeah, I guess it depends
Into
on how
like a
like
different biological state rather than.
I
Like,
know what you're saying, but
flushed
I
into
do feel
wood.
like the Force is pretty ridiculous. So like I
Yeah.
feel like that would be one I think we need to look into more. But I can see both sides. But I think
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I will say, just kind of like, as like kind of a last thing. So like, I was talking earlier about how like I think that Gandalf beats Obi-Wan in like a lot of his strong suits. So like Obi-Wan is like incredibly like skilled defensively. It's like the reason why it's like stupid, but it's the reason why the high ground is like a thing. Like from a vantage point where he has leverage, like he's like incredibly strong defensively, which lets him like maintain the upper hand against basically anyone. It's why he was able to beat like General Grievous, who's like ridiculously fast and like overwhelming. But so Gandalf has like, for one, like he can just overpower Obi-Wan's defense. Like his like scaling to like the like largest masses that like Force users, and then like Maiar are capable of like telekinetically manipulating. Like Arian's feat is like significantly more impressive than Kip Duran's feat with the Dovin Basal. He also has like ways of bypassing these defenses with attacks that like Obi-Wan doesn't have a direct counter to, like his own telekinesis or I would argue transmutation. I don't really think that instance is comparable. And his stamina is actually better. Like I mentioned, he fought for 10 straight days, even while like significantly like overexerting himself against a very powerful opponent, more powerful than Obi-Wan. Jedi masters of Obi-Wan's era are stated to be able to fight for like several days, so like more in the ballpark of 3. So if it came down to like a war of attrition, Obi-Wan would never win that. If Gandalf is somehow killed, he can just reclothe himself with a new body. He doesn't. He
All right, we're going through a lot of different things real fast.
Yeah.
I need to give Kian a moment to jump
right.
in.
Yeah. Kian.
Yes. Okay. Fine. I'll pull out the big gun here.
Okay.
I'll pull out the big. Okay. So
And now we're in. We're finally getting to the big gun. Okay.
you have to end it with that. What am I supposed to do?
Sure,
Start
alright,
with
yeah,
this
yeah,
and then
yeah.
argue lightsaber at the end. Okay. So in the Revenge of the Sith novel, Count Dooku gathers all the dark side power in the universe and is described as the center axis of the universe. By the end of Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan is definitely above Dooku. And all the force in the universe is better than the Valley of the Jedi, which is powered by thousands of Sith and Jedi, which can destroy solar systems. Therefore, Obi-Wan is better than Anakin, is better than Count Dooku, is better than literal thousands of Jedi and Sith. This holds up very well.
I don't think it
your
does.
big gun, your big concluding argument, you are presenting in a way where you don't even believe it yourself.
Yes. Yes.
I don't in fact think that
Cool.
Obi-Wan is stronger
All
than
right.
all the force in the universe. Count Dooku just got his head chopped off. Like I don't think he's that. I don't think he's all that. I won't lie.
He scales.
True.
He scales.
So
Yeah.
Chad.
I don't know. I'm
All
so
right.
confused.
Well, I have put a poll in the chat that I think is going to be a big deciding factor, and it looks like with 52% of the vote,
Oh.
a "You shall not pass" does supersede "I have the high ground." I was thinking Obi-Wan would use the high ground to get past Gandalf, but I guess not. All right, so that is 1 point in Gandalf's favor, thanks to chat.
Nice.
The Balrog, the Balrog had the high ground, in their conflict when they were on the steps. In the,
Yeah.
the
Actually,
Mandalorian.
Gandalf had the high ground because the Balrog was literally falling, and he still
Well-
took him with them.
Well, initially the Balrog had the high ground.
No, they were on the even ground.
Yeah.
Balrog's just
the
tall.
Balrog is bigger.
The Balrog's just tall, but it depends on the iteration. Some people depict the Balrog as like man-sized because it describes him like as a man, sort of. So in some iterations, he's just some dude. he's like shaped like just some dude. But in the movie, yes, he has the high ground because he's tall, I guess. But technically, they're on even ground. So I don't know. Obi-Wan or Gandalf kind of fails at the high ground because he lets himself get pulled off it. So
Yeah, well,
and
so the
Obi-Wan
initial,
took
before he
advantage
blasts
of
the
it.
hole that then the Balrog falls down, they're descending the steps, so the Balrog was on higher ground technically is what I was getting at. But and then he falls and then he whips him.
He's not fighting him on the steps. He runs away from him when he's on the steps. He runs away from the high ground.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the fight in the book, Gandalf casts the Balrog down to break the mountain and kill it. So he can just simply cast Obi-Wan down from the high ground.
There you go. Just to do it. If you're bigger, don't you have the high ground? More like you have the high head, right?
That's Gandalf because he's always smoking the pipe weed.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, this conversation has become extremely productive. All right, let's get to this. So I'm gonna put up a poll in chat while I do that. Chad, give me a rundown. What are you feeling? Who do you think?
I mean, Speedy came prepared. I saw somebody earlier like, man, Speedy pushed up his glasses for this one. So yeah, like a lot of information, and it's always great to hear about the deeper Lord of the Rings stuff that I know some of, but not that much. Good lord. And then I don't know, Obi-Wan. I haven't heard a ton of convincing feats for him, other than
You can just say it. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of leaning Gandalf right now. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
Okay. The poll is up. You guys can get your votes in. I feel like Speedy, you've set this up, like, because this all
Did I?
stems from you
Yeah.
uh pitching this matchup and backing the
is.
Kickstarter and things like that. Was this all just a ploy to try to show up Kian? Was that the plan from the beginning?
I can neither confirm nor deny. However, I can confirm that Kian has also been conspiring in his own right. Because he mentioned getting that transmutation resistance from Cyber. I asked Cyber last night if Obi-Wan has transmutation resistance, and he told me no. So it's looting against me.
I did. Wait, that was totally on Cyber's part. I didn't know about that.
Wait. Is this a three-way like?
I don't even
like
know.
a manipulation going on? Like who's on whose side here? All right. Okay. I'm having a hard time buying that all of this is legit for Gandalf. Just because Gandalf's Lord of the Rings is wacky when it comes to like trying to analyze it in this way. But I think you're convincing me. But at the same time, I feel like I'm being a big played here. So I'm gonna say Obi-Wan. Just for that. But it really comes down to the chat and who they're voting for. So go ahead and get your votes in, everybody. And let us know who you think would win between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Gandalf the White.
Cyber's in the chat, and Cyber says,
wait.
I admit to the crime.
I just saw that. Wow. Okay, so Cyber played everybody is what I'm gathering here.
Cyber wins is what we've learned.
Okay.
Cody in the chat says, this is like Lex Luthor in Justice League Unlimited. I spent $1 billion just to piss off Superman.
Wait, does that mean Speedy's Lex Luthor?
Is
Speedy the Lex Luthor of the death metal team?
Yeah.
He did spend $5,000 so that he could have the easy choice for a match.
Oh my god. All right. Speedy, I don't think ever living that one down.
And then Rez in the chat says, Ben Singer, I have a bad feeling about this. Man, see, there's so many. We're working on a lot of these ones.
If anything, this would be a fun episode just for all the quotes we could incorporate.
Oh,
100%. Great. All right, so let's see. Who wins? Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Gandalf the White. I'm ending the poll in 3, 2, 1. 60% is going
for Obi-Wan.
to Gandalf.
For Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how hard the line of "I'm not a conjurer of cheap tricks" could go if it's like the last, like it said right before the end of like the fight if Gandalf wins? Oh, that would be sick.
Okay.
So they voted for Gandalf. Yeah.
Yep.
And
I win. By the way,
that's why the
Obi-Wan
next Star Wars episode will be Palpatine.
No. So I am now putting another poll in chat. This may be even more important.
What is this?
Is Speedy gonna actually get this scheme to work? Should we do this death battle?
Please vote no.
Let us know.
Please vote no.
Because if this actually happens, then Speedy has accomplished his goal and gotten the easy one. Well, somebody, I guess Kian, has to actually watch the third Lord of the Rings movie and then learn what's going on with Gandalf. Wouldn't that be crazy? We switch them around.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been on Fraud Watch so hard the past while. Like I got set up here. I got like Jacob destroyed me for Mewtwo versus Shadow because he didn't bring up any of the arguments that I was prepared for. Like I need to come in here like having actually done like a sweat deep dive, and, like destroy my next opponent because I can see all the comments.
Oh, all right. You say next time you're on Death Metal Cast, you're going to be prepared to destroy someone?
I need to, dude. I'm going to lose my job, man.
All right.
All
Kian's coming in
right.
swinging next time. Gilded Data, thanks for gifting out 10 memberships.
Kian's coming in swinging next time, and according to him, his job's on the line.
Yeah. He put it out there.
No. All right. So I'm impressed. A lot of you guys want to see this as an episode. Okay.
Yep.
Obi-Wan versus Gandalf. I know there's a lot of different like ideas for Obi-Wan and Gandalf matchups. So it's interesting to see the interest in it.
The Curry Boy in the chat said 30% of y'all must be fun at parties. God. The people who said no
Wow.
to the matchup.
Wow. To be fair, only 29% according to YouTube. So
Yeah.
you know.
He loves to eat that 1%.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you, Speedy and Kia, for coming on. And
Speedy.
displaying your visceral hatred for each other.
Yeah.
You did an amazing job.
Thank
for
you.
Your first time
I
on
don't-
cast, you crushed it.
Yeah, I've kind of wanted to come on for a while. I am glad it went well. And I don't know if you heard this earlier because I kind of blurted it out when I think there was noise going on. But by the way, I totally think Obi-Wan wins. By the way.
No, are you serious?
Oh, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
What do you know?
I knew that was coming.
Oh, let's talk about that in the post show. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on.
So
This
Ben voted
scheme,
right.
This scheme,
It has
this
layers.
scheme of yours is I'm gonna get Kian on to show him up with Gandalf because he doesn't know anything about Lord of the Rings, and then if it all goes well, then we'll do this episode, and I'll get the Obi-Wan research, which Kian's already done, so I just use his research, and then my character wins anyway. So
Yes.
this is all like a multi-layered scheme to get the victory twice.
Yes.
It's a trap.
There it is. There
Wow.
it is. Wow,
Okay.
Speedy. Okay.
I really want to hear more in the post show. I really, really do. And then
Yeah,
Danny says,
champions. We'll
"Whoever
see you in
falls-"
Champion Cast. We do that every single week. It's a VOD that goes up later on, but we record it directly after Death Metal Cast. So we'll see you in that one. What's up, Chad?
Oh, super chat. Danny says, "Whoever falls to the dark side first loses."
They
Could
well,
be.
Gandalf was legitimately tempted. I think Obi-Wan is just
Yeah,
too
nah.
celibate to care. He just doesn't give a shit. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another Death Battle cast. And thank you to Speedy and Kian for jumping on to talk about their matchup that's totally not rigged or anything. And thank you, members, for jumping in the chat and talking about this with us. Again, we will see you in Champion Cast, but otherwise, we will see you all next week. Take care.